Welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm your host. I'm Darlene Childress. I'm a life and parenting coach. And this is part 3 of a goal setting, goal achieving series. Part 1 was all about defining your goal. Part 2 was defining the obstacles. And now part 3 is defining the plan. Because when you go to create something in your life, something new, you want to achieve a goal, it can be very overwhelming. So I wanted to offer a step-by-step way to achieve your goals. In this series, I've shared with you my big goal of publishing a parenting book in 2026, and I've used that as an example of how I have walked myself through all of these different steps of defining the goal, making sure I really understand what I'm doing, being committed to it. And then step 2 was defining the obstacles. For me, I had a lot of negative mindset that I needed to work through. I had time issues that I needed to work through. And I've had a lot of life events that have come in between me and my goal over the years. And how do I overcome those life events? How do I stay committed to this goal even when these obstacles come up? So on episode 1, part 1, I helped you define your goal, and maybe you weren't even sure if you had a goal. So we did a dream download and learned about what it is that you want to do. In this episode, I'm going to use the example of making weeknight dinners and also self-care to help you get an action plan. So I wanted to give you the idea that you can have a big goal like start a business or get healthy or remodel a house or something like that, or manage your money, like take control of your budget, any of those kind of bigger goals. Or it can be small, like I want to organize my kids' toys, or I want to make healthy dinners. I want to make time for self-care. Whatever goals you have in your life, you can use this 3-step process to achieve those goals. If you want a little guidebook to help you in this process of achieving goals, you are welcome to go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and download the workbook that I created to go alongside this goal setting series. It is called Prioritize and Achieve Your Goals in 4 Steps. And in it, I have all the steps and then a bunch of questions and prompts that you can read and respond to so that you have your own a little accountability and guidebook, and you have a place to keep track of what you're working on in terms of your goals. I actually do use this guidebook for myself. So these are the steps that I take whenever I'm setting a goal. So I think you'll find it really helpful. Again, you can get that on my website, calmmamacoaching.com, under the resources tab. It's free. Just download it and you can have it for yourself. Okay, so let's get into today. Today is about the action plan. Now, if you haven't listened to the other episodes, go back and listen to the one about defining your goal or overcoming the obstacles. Now, if you want to just listen to this one episode, that's fine. Think about your goal right now. What is it? And we're going to make an action plan for that goal. Now, if you have this goal in mind and you come up with some obstacles in your head where you're like, okay, I can't achieve it because I don't believe I have the skills, or I don't know if I have what it takes, or I don't have any time, then go back and listen to part 2 because it'll give you some tools to overcome those obstacles so that you can be really ready to take the action steps that are necessary. Okay, so the first part of defining your plan is to rewrite your goal and then start with a brain dump. So what does that mean? It means just write down anything that you think will help you achieve this goal, move towards the goal. So what are the things that you have to do in order to make it happen? So let's talk about weeknight dinners, making them less stressful. So your goal is, I want weeknight dinners to feel calm and less chaotic. If that's your goal, that's wonderful. So you would then brainstorm or brain dump a bunch of ideas. So you would write like, okay, what steps might help me move toward this goal? Find 5 easy dinners that everyone will eat. Stop deciding dinner at 4:30 p.m. Grocery shop with a plan. Prep food earlier in the day. Use the slow cooker, the Instant Pot, or the air fryer more often. Order takeout less. Clean out my freezer. Get help from my kids. Like really just dump a bunch of ideas of things that you need to do in order to make this plan happen. With my book, I have a few different obstacles, but one is I have to sit down and write it, right? That's like the most pivotal thing. And that means I needed to make time to write it. So I had to clear out a lot of my schedule. I used a time audit that I talked about last week and realized, when am I going to need to write this book? And I solve for that obstacle by creating time in my schedule each week so that I know when I'm supposed to write. The other things I needed to do was figure out who was going to help me edit the book. I needed to gather all of my information that I have, all the different places that I've written the book, because I have written this content many, many times through different coaching programs and handbooks and the podcast. And so I need to gather everything in one place and then just write it out, right? That's kind of what I needed to do. So looking at your own brain dump, now imagine if you had the goal that you wanted to make more time for self-care. So you might brain dump, what is self-care? How much time do I need? So you might write down like, I want to take walks, I want to take baths, I want to do yoga, I want to do quiet time, I want to do reading. So what is your brain dump, right? I need to figure out when I'm going to do it. I need to talk to my friends, like whatever steps that you think might help you achieve your goal. You write those down. Okay, so that's the brain dump. Then you figure out, this is the really fun part, you figure out the next small step, the first small step. Imagine in your brain dump you wrote, I need to find 5 easy dinners that everyone will eat. Okay, so the first very small next step, I don't want you to think like, okay, I need a meal plan for a whole month, because then that becomes really overwhelming. So I need to break it down into a really small first step. Honestly, I had my first small step was open the document. So I have written this book, like I said, a few times, and I needed to go back and open it. And honestly, I had not opened that document in, I think, 3 years or 2.5 years or something like that. It was like challenging for me. Now, the first time I wrote it, it was in 2016, and that meant opening up a file, naming it, creating an outline, filling in the skeleton gaps of the outline, then going in and writing it. So when I wrote it originally, I had to do that. You don't just say like, I want to make healthy dinners, and then your first step is make healthy dinners, right? Make daily dinners or whatever. I want you to think about it in a small step. One small step would be to choose 3 dinners and write them on a sticky note. That's it. It's not about cooking them, shopping, just choosing 3 things that I know how to make, 3 things that I think my family likes to eat. Now, if you think about organizing the toys, maybe it's going through and picking 10 stuffed animals that you think you can put away, like get rid of or something like that. Or going to the store and buying 1 new bin, or tidying up, putting stuff in bags for today. I don't know, just kind of starting with one small step and looking. Maybe you like categorizing. So you're like, I'm going to go in that room or that where the toys are, and I'm going to make a list of the toys and the categories. So it's like dolls, blocks, electronic stuff, Legos, building materials, whatever it is. And you start to write a list, thinking about something that feels easy and doable. So that's your first small step. That'll give you some momentum to keep going. Honestly, my first small step was open the document. And I was like, so funny about it. Honestly, I opened it up and then I like texted my best friend, like, I'm doing it. I opened it. She's like, good for you. So don't forget that you get to celebrate these obstacles that are actually really big for you, but might seem trivial to someone else. Don't be embarrassed to celebrate and include everyone else into your plan. That's one of my action items in my brain dump, was to share my goal with others, including this podcast, and really putting myself out there for the accountability, because I didn't want this to be secret anymore. When it was secret, I could just pretend I didn't need to get it done, right? I had no accountability. Nobody really cared. Not that you're going to care or be mad at me. I don't believe that. But I wanted to say to the world, hey, I'm doing this so that I have some level of accountability. So somebody will be like, how's it going? And then I can answer, right? Whether it is going well or not going well, and then get encouragement from others. So don't be afraid to share your goal with other people. Okay, so we have our first small step. Then the next thing is to chunk your goal into phases. Okay, so if we think about doing the dinner plan, so the first stage is getting started. In any action plan, it's getting started. The first part would be pick a few repeat dinners and then notice what's already working. So you probably have, if you're doing the dinner thing, you probably have some things that are working, right? Or some achievement. Like for me with my big goal, I already have written a ton of content. I have already produced a lot of content. It's already out in the world. So my getting started phase was really about gathering all of the content together into one place. Getting started was also creating time so that I can achieve this goal. And a big part of my action step was to create 10 weeks where I don't create any new content so that I can work on developing the content that I've already created and honing that in and editing it together and putting it together in the book, which means I needed to clear my schedule so that I did not have to make any new podcast episodes. I love creating podcast episodes. I love creating content. I love doing this conversation with you. And each week, I'm thinking about new topics and new things I want to talk about, and that is all new content. So I needed to have a big chunk of time where I wasn't creating anything new, that I was going back and doing the foundational work within the book. So that means that the next 10 weeks, starting next week, you're going to have a best of series on the podcast. We're doing a Stop Yelling series. It's 10 episodes from the archives, but curated in a way that you can walk yourself through those 10 weeks and stop yelling. All of the different tools you need to stop yelling and make repair with your kids. If your goal is to stop yelling at your kids, you can walk yourself through the series over 10 weeks and achieve your own goal while I'm working on my goal, which is writing the book, which is really fun. Okay, so the first phase is getting started. Another thing that is part of getting started for me is to actually sit down on January 5th and write. So my plan in my time audit is to write on Mondays. That means that I can't have any new clients on Mondays. I can't talk to clients on Mondays. I can't have meetings on Mondays. I can't have lunches on Mondays. Like, this is my writing day. So Mondays and Fridays are my writing day because I see clients Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so I'm going to commit to writing on Mondays and then on Fridays. And then maybe if I get some momentum, I'll be excited and I'll want to maybe dip in on the weekend too. I don't know. Building momentum is really starting to take that action. It's really kind of getting into it. So for the weeknight dinner one, you're grocery shopping with intention. You're prepping ahead of time. You're really starting to get the habit of planning your weeknight dinners in a mode. Like, it's still challenging. It's not second nature yet, but it's something that's starting to feel a little bit more normal. And that's how any of these things work. In the beginning, you're not sure how to do it. You don't know what to do. Like when I started the podcast, I had to get started. I had to get a microphone. I had to get a service to host the podcast. I had to figure out how to edit it. I had to get artwork and music. I mean, there were so many different steps. So I chunked it out into getting started, and then building momentum was like, okay, each week I would sit down and I would write the content and plan it out and edit it. And it all took a lot of time. And then phase 3 is sustaining. When you're thinking about meals, rotating the same meals, you're adjusting, you're dropping perfectionism. With my meal plan, when I decided I wanted to do a weekly meal plan, I did a theme each day, and then I worked on a bunch of meals within that theme. So it was like sandwich and salads, or pasta night, or beans or rice night. So I had like kind of a base idea. Monday was chicken night. So I had a base idea of what I was going to cook each day. And then I would kind of have like main recipes that I used all the time, like tacos all the time. And then I also added in, if I wanted to try a new recipe, I could. But that was in the sustaining phase. So you build your base, you build your pattern, your rhythm, you build momentum, you get into it, and then you have that sustaining phase where it becomes a little bit easier. So I obviously am not there with the book. I'm not in the building momentum stage because I'm not writing it. I'm not in the sustaining stage where I keep consistent, but I can see that that's what I need to do. I need to start every Monday getting to it. Every Monday, every Friday, clearing out my calendar, prioritizing that. If you want to think about making time for self-care, it's kind of the same idea. In the beginning, the first step is maybe just walking for 10 minutes after school drop-off or during lunch break or something like that. When I was a stay-at-home mom, I needed to like eat lunch and sit down at the table and like prioritize eating and relax at the same time. And like that was like kind of my little lunch break. I did that as much as I could. So that's part of what it is. You start, you make it a routine, and then you adjust that routine as needed. And then you kind of figure out, okay, this is my momentum. This is how it works for me to achieve this goal. I have the same thing with exercise. At one point, I made a decision to move my body every day. Most days I do. And if I get 5 days, 4 days, I'm like, okay, great. I move my body today. Sometimes that's a walk. Sometimes that's going to the gym, working out with weights. Sometimes that's taking a class. Sometimes it's a hike. It doesn't really matter to me what I do. It's as long as I move my body every day. So that was kind of my goal, was move my body every day. So then I kind of had to figure out how to get that done. And sometimes it was like only moving a little bit. And it's not always every day, and that's okay. Having it be every day gets me in the habit of it. So say I didn't have to work with clients, then maybe I would say I'm going to write every day for 10 minutes, or I'm going to write every day from 11 to 12. You know your time, you know your availability, you know your schedule, so you get to decide when it would work for you. So that's actually another part of the action plan, is figuring out when, where, and how are you going to do this plan. Really being specific about when you will work on your goal. It is important for your brain to have a time where you do the thing you say you're going to do. If that means every morning or at lunchtime or right after the kids go to bed or whatever your kind of lifestyle looks like, do a time audit, find the gaps, find the periods of time where you can chunk stuff in, and then commit to observing that time and making sure nobody gets in way. Now, obviously kids get sick, the dog barfs, right? You get sick, whatever, life comes up. But then when you get back to your schedule, your regular life schedule, it's like, okay, where was I? What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was writing on Mondays. Oh yeah, I was walking every day after drop off. Oh yeah, I was planning to go to the gym and use the treadmill and watch my favorite show. That's one of my hacks, is like I watch TV while I'm exercising because it makes it more fun. You want to figure out, when are you going to work on your goal? And it is, I think, one of the most important things is to put it on your calendar and really tell yourself, like, make a commitment. I don't know about you, but if I have an appointment, if I have something on my calendar, I don't miss it. I am committed. Once I've said, yes, I'll be there, or I've signed up for a class, or I've made a lunch date or whatever, unless something comes up, I do the thing I say I'm going to do. I'm sure you're the same. If you commit to yourself the same way you commit to volunteering at the school or your job or your appointments with your friends or something like that, or you're taking care of your family member, if you commit to the same degree that you do to others, to yourself, you will achieve your goal. Now, also think about not just when you'll do it, but where are you going to work on your goal? If you want to work organizing your toys, obviously you're going to do that. But I want you to think about, where am I going to stage all this stuff? Where am I going to store stuff while I'm organizing it? Am I going to take over the dining room? Am I going to be using the garage? Am I going to be using my bed? So be thinking about that and then planning through it. So where will I work on my goal? At my desk with my stuff. But then I also kind of need to gather all those workbooks and notebooks and things like that. So that's part of my prep stage, right? My phase 1 is getting started. I'm gathering everything I need. I have always had so many different goals that I want to do. Like I was really doing art last year and it was really fun. And so I created a space in like a little table in our bedroom that I had my art stuff, paints and things like that. And I needed a lamp. So I got a lamp, and then I knew like this is where I do my art. I'm not good at art, by the way, at all. But if you notice that the space that you created isn't working, that's one of your obstacles, no problem. Just pivot and figure out a new solution. As you get into the work of it, you're going to notice you have to adjust. Like I'm committed to Mondays, but what happens if I like am really tired on Mondays? I don't think so, because I know I've already, kind of committed to this. But if I did notice that, or I was like, I'm going to work every day on this goal, organizing my family or whatever it is, you decide you're going to do it at 9 p.m. Well, maybe you're too tired at 9 p.m. Okay, that's an obstacle that you can't quite overcome. So, or unless you drink coffee or something. But if you can't overcome it, then you need to pivot and make a new plan. Now, the other questions you can do is how much time are you going to spend on it? So really thinking about how much capacity do you have, looking back at those obstacles. I am going to write for 5 hours on Mondays. I think that's about all my brain can handle. We'll see. But I'm going to do like a good 9 to 12 and then again, like 1 to 3. Most likely I won't be able to stay in it unless I get into some sort of flow state. Now, I don't have kids at home, so I can work my schedule how I want. When I had kids at home, because I did write this book originally when I had kids at home, I would work 9 to 12, and then that was all I could do, but I added more days in. And I just committed. And so if you think about, well, when am I going to exercise? When am I going to meal plan? When am I going to meet up with my friends? Like really do the planning and thinking and then making that commitment to yourself. How much time will you spend, or how much time do you have, right? Based on your time audit. And then what will help remind or support you? Again, accountability is helpful. I told all my friends when I saw them all in November, I was like, hey, I'm going to do my book next year. Like you guys all need to know this and help me. And so she's like reached out. How's it going? How's the writing going? What have you been doing? And I was joking with her because I'm like, it's going so great. I decided to make a 3-part series on the podcast about goals, which it could be a little bit of a distraction, but I've enjoyed doing this series. But I said to her, I'm like, thank you for asking me how it's going. I really need that. I need people who say, hey, are you committed? What's happening? That's one of the things that I have to support me, accountability, but also the calendaring, blocking the time. Habit stacking, that's like a phrase that people use in goal setting, is like, what are the habits that help you achieve the thing you want? If it's meal planning, you're like, every Sunday I spend 20 minutes and I just figure out what meals we're eating for that week. If you do that a bunch of times in a row, it will become normal. And if you decide you're going to do it Sundays at 2, and then you realize like you're never home Sundays at 2, or the kids are always really bothersome, okay, you need to pick a new time. So as you find a time that works, you habit stack that. Maybe you need a visual cue. Maybe you need a big poster that you put somewhere, or you put a reminder on your phone. Type out the goal in your notes app, screenshot that, then make that your wallpaper of your phone. That can be really helpful. It can also be terrorizing. So be gentle with yourself, be kind. If you get stuck in this phase, choose what feels most likely to happen and not what sounds ideal. Just be like, you know what? The odds of me exercising every day are low. I'm going to just say, I'm going to do it every Monday. And you just get in that habit of doing it every Monday. And then that's normal. And then, okay, look, I'm going to do it on Thursdays. And then you do that. Or like the toy thing, right? So you're like, I'm going to organize on Saturdays for the next few weeks. Once the toys are organized, then I'm going to maintain that by doing a tidy up every night. Okay, those are all lofty goals. Let's see how you do. Let's just get the thing organized first. Start with less time than you think you need, because if you put in too much time, maybe you'll feel very overwhelmed and you won't stick to it. You're like, I don't want to do this for 3 hours. If that feels dread in your stomach when you think about doing your goal, then maybe make it more fun. You can better it by like, I'm going to turn on music, or you can do it only for a short amount of time. You know what? I'm going to do one small thing. I'm going to take all of these toys off the floor. I'm going to put them in this bin. Or you know what? I'm going to make dinner tonight. I try to make it as manageable as possible. All right, so that's how it goes to make an action plan. Honestly, it's complicated, but not complicated, right? You do that brain dump, you figure out everything that's going to be needed, and it can be like whatever comes to your head. And then you figure out the next small step, and then you do the next small step after that. So you break it down into little steps, and then you can chunk it up. Like, what are the things I need to do to get started? Then what am I going to do in the middle? And then how am I going to maintain this? Kind of chunking it into phases. I think for me, I just needed to get started. That's my goal. I needed to clear my calendar and get started. Whatever goal you have, think about that first step and then make a plan for it. When, where, and how are you going to get this done? What time of day or what time of week? Where are you going to sit and do it? I read one time, Madeline Albright, who was Secretary of State, she wanted to go back to college and she had 3 small children. And she did all of her schoolwork while in the car waiting for them at pickup. Women are incredible. We can achieve so much when we get committed to it. So that's what I want to leave you with, is that if you get stuck, just remind yourself that you are capable, that you have already overcome so many other things. You've achieved so much. Go ahead and take a minute to remind yourself of the things that you have achieved in the past, and that will help you feel more committed and more inspired to achieve new things. The other thing that I want to remind you is, like, if you get stuck, just think about what is the smallest amount of thing that I could do, the smallest step I could take to get back into the goal. If your big goal is like exercise or get fit or something like that, what is the smallest step you could take? Like, you could do 10 jumping jacks, just the tiniest thing. If I get stuck in my book writing, the best thing I could do is sit at my desk and open the document. That would be the smallest thing. Or I could call a friend and say, I'm really struggling, help me out, and see if I can get some pep talks. The teeniest, tiniest thing. Another thing you can do is go back to remember why. Why do you want this goal? Why did you say that this was important to you? What were you hoping to have from achieving this? If it's a health goal, you're like, I wanted to be able to have more energy with my children. If it's a family management goal, like managing dinners better or toys or clothes or whatever it is, and you're organizing in your time and your space, it's because you wanted to have less chaos. If it's self-care, it's because you wanted to be calm. If it's money stuff like budgeting, it's because you wanted to have more discretionary income so that you could take a vacation. Remembering your why will help you get back into why you wanted to do the thing in the first place and get you organized and back into it. If you get stuck, remember there's always one small thing you can do to get unstuck. I am wishing you the best 2026. I am happy that you're listening and that we're in this new year, and a lot can be achieved in your life. Even if your achievement is small, like you want to read 5 books this year or you want to watch more reality TV, your goal does not need to be lofty. It just needs to be meaningful for you. And I am wishing you the best new year, the best 2026, and I will not have any new episodes until March. So I will miss you all while I am working on my book. I can't wait for you to listen to the Stop Yelling series and to really get all those tools to become a calm mama, which is the purpose of this podcast. And I'm really looking forward to having you receive all of those tools and that teaching and all of that over the next 10 weeks. And then I will see you again in March. All right, mamas, happy 2026. I hope you had a really nice winter break, and I will talk to you soon. Hey, mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do 2 things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.